So it looks like everybody is just signing in. You can see the numbers going up. Joanna, it looks like we might have a full house this afternoon.
Exciting.
Okay, so thank you everyone so much for joining us today. My name's Carly, and I am a professional development coach at Right Steps, and I am so thrilled to moderate today's webinar. We at Right Steps will have a special offer for you at the end of the webinar today, so make sure you stay tuned to hear all about that. Before we dive in, I do have just a few hints for you just to make sure that everything runs smoothly, things you've probably heard before, but we do recommend that for better audio and video that you close any other applications that might be using bandwidth, so Twitter, Skype, anything like that. For a larger view of the slides, you can always maximize your screen. And if you have questions throughout the session, you can go ahead and post those in the chat box on the right of your screen. And I'll try to check in with those questions as often as I can. If you are tweeting today, use hashtag Blended Writers Workshop. And also, Webinar Jam likes us to let you know that for the best viewing experience, you should use Chrome. And if at any point throughout today's webinar, your screen becomes pixelated or unclear, just go ahead and click the refresh button at the bottom of your screen. So let me just take a moment to introduce our presenter today. Joanna Van Rayden is our blended learning enthusiast and passionate teacher of writing. She comes to us with 32 years of elementary education experience in both general and special ed. In 2015, she was the recipient of the Michigan Association of Computer Users in Learning Technology Teacher of the Year. And she received that award for her advanced use of technology in the classroom. And Joanna actually blended all of her subjects for her students. And now she's the creator of a digital blended writing curriculum materials and a national presenter on the Blended Writers Workshop. So we are just thrilled to have Joanna with us here today.
Carly, thank you so much for that introduction. It is very exciting to be here. The whole is exciting. Can't wait to get started, and I hope we can share some great ideas with our administrators that are joining us here on how they can help their teachers be more successful in the Writers Workshop.
Great. Well, let's go ahead and get started. As you know, Joanna, not everybody knows, but I spend a lot of time traveling to schools throughout the country, talking with teachers and administrators as I do professional development. And one question that administrators are always asking me is, what can they do to make teaching writing easier for their teachers?
I have a couple ideas for that. And I'm going to just share them with you. Just hold on one second here. I will share this. I was recently at a training. I asked my audience what the biggest roadblocks were to teaching Writers Workshop. These were teachers. And if you look at my screen, you'll see the word that stands out the most: time. Time, time, time. No matter where I go, they say time. There are three different roadblocks that seem to come up the most. They're time, knowledge, and tools.
So do you have a solution, to how we can kind of overcome these obstacles?
Well, my solution is blend your Writers Workshop. And if you do this, aside from cloning yourself, which is very difficult to do, if you use technology as your friend and almost treat technology as your coworker, you end up getting another teacher in the room. There were times when I was recording, I would record my own lessons ahead of time, and then you would go into my classroom and you would see students watching me on any number of devices. So it was as though I had cloned myself. This gave me a whole different delivery method, And I was able to do it, as you said earlier, in all subjects. And today I'm hoping that I can stay focused, despite my enthusiasm for blending all subjects. I'm hoping I can stay focused on Writer's Workshop.
Okay, so let's start with the first item that you mentioned. You were talking about time.
Yes.
So how does blending your Writer's Workshop help teachers feel like they gain more time, or they don't feel the pressure and those constraints of not having enough time?
Well, time is a huge issue, yes. And one way that blending your Writer's Workshop really helps is that students can watch 24/7. They can be prepared. They can watch from home. They can watch from the back seat of a car, on mom or dad's cell phone. Once you have the lessons created, they're there. It helped me stay on focus. So I was able to take a 30 to 40-minute Writer's Workshop lesson traditionally, when I would stand at the front as the sage on stage, it's called in the technology world. I was able to move from that role to more of a guide on the side, or a coach kind of a mode, because students were now watching me on a mobile device of some kind, and I was then free to move around the classroom one-to-one during the entire Writer's Workshop time. It gave me that time. This meant I could differentiate the instruction for writing, and I could find more time. Once the students had finished watching the lessons, they had more time to actually write, and they need that practice time. That's imperative. It also helped get them motivated, because with more time, they could create really cool projects from the writing that they were doing in Writer's Workshop.
Oh, good. Well, I hope you'll have a chance to share some of those really cool projects, or some ideas how we could implement those a little bit later in the webinar.
I'll be glad
So,
to do that.
Interestingly enough, I started a poll while you were talking, and 57% of our attendees are saying that time is their biggest issue.
Totally.
And so it seems like they're in agreement with you there. Now, the next item that you talked about was was knowledge, correct?
Knowledge, totally.
Yes. So how does Writer's Workshop help, blending the Writer's Workshop, help in that area?
Well, let me share just a little bit with you. Knowledge, I'm meeting teachers all over the country, and they're almost embarrassed. And I feel badly, because they shouldn't be, but they're embarrassed that they're not confident. They say to me, Joanna, I'm not a great writer. How am I going to teach my students to be great writers if I don't feel confident? Well, to me, that's a lack of knowledge in a way. It means not that they can't be good writers, but they need more direction. They need a quality writing and grammar program. Once I had a quality writing and grammar program, I knew that I was going to cover all the standards and all the expectations that, well, the state had on me, that my administrators had, that students and their parents had on me. And I felt confident. So I was able to create my blended lessons from something that was proven. It was research-based. It was a great program. Another way that I think administrators really need to think about supporting their staff once they have a good writing and grammar program for them, by the way, that also helps with fidelity across grades, I know it did in my school, is ongoing professional development. I've got some pictures here of me doing professional development at conferences, and you can see some teacher leaders here. The ongoing professional development is just crucial. Find it somehow for those teachers. You also need properly working technology tools. Please be sure that you have these for your teachers. It's one thing to have them, but if they're not working, that's a big issue. Teachers also need to understand and get ongoing support on how to use some of the applications that they're going to use for creative projects, such as ebooks, various online apps, movie creation, and of course blogging to platforms, which is getting them into this whole global writing, which we're so passionate about pushing. So let's empower our teachers. Let's help them become confident. And again, get a quality writing and grammar program. There are many out there. Have a committee set up. Make sure you have consensus in your building. That's something that works. I have some teacher leaders here on my my visual. And the reason they're there is because they're teacher leaders in their school. And they can pilot some program. And then by them using it, they have other people in the building that look at it and watch it, and they get excited. And you can work out some of the, I guess, naysayers in that way if you need to. So use those teacher leaders to help build that support and create knowledge.
So it sounds to me, Joanna, like the knowledge and the tools kind of fit just hand in hand.
Oh, totally.
Which leads us to your third point.
Totally. And this is very important. I want to share something for you from the University of Michigan. Anyone out there who's using technology, there's lots of different models for integrating technology. The one that I really like is called the Triple E framework. It's from the University of Michigan. And what I want you to focus on when you're using technology or your staff is using technology, just ask 3 simple questions. That's where the Triple E comes from, I suppose. By the way, go to tripleeframework.com if you want to learn more about this in depth. But when you're using technology, whether the principal, the administration's using it, whether you're choosing it for your school, or whether your teachers are using this technology in the classroom, they want to be sure that, number one, the technology is going to engage their students, perhaps better than they would do in a traditional lecture type of presentation. They want to be sure that it's going to enhance the learning. That means, is it going to be able to differentiate? Is it going to scaffold? Is it going to do a better job of letting students personalize their learning? And can you individualize the writer's workshop for them in that way? And the third E in the Triple E framework is extend. And this is where we're really getting even more of this 21st century learning in. I mean, can they extend when they're motivated and they want to write? This could be in blogging or sharing their work on a more global basis. This is very motivating and powerful. They want to write for that authentic audience.
Joanna, I have a question for you here. I'm running a poll right now.
Oh,
Do you have one-to-one technology? I know ideally this would be so much easier if everybody had one-to-one technology. Less than half of our attendees have one-to-one devices. So is this possible without one-to-one?
Listen, Carly, in audience, I have seen teachers do a fantastic job with one device in their classroom. I have teacher friends who have used actually my old math videos or writing videos. They put them up on the board and they literally co-teach with the video going. So it gives them that knowledge, that confidence that they become the co-teacher. And literally when I was teaching the lesson on the video, they were co-teaching with me. And I had lots of teachers that said, wow, I learned so much as a writing teacher just by having your video there because I knew what was happening. So you can do this with one device. And you can also, if you have small stations set up, you could rotate your students. I think there are 6 different models of blended learning. And look into them, because lack of devices does not mean you should not blend any of these topics. Use what you have, but make sure you're using it to its full potential to really help you. Like I said, one device can actually work and it can still save you time. Think about that. You have one 7 to 10 minute direct instruction video. You show it and you still have gained time in your classroom for writer's workshop. So I hope that helps.
Thank you for answering that. I think that's a really important message that our administrators can take back to their teachers, to not be discouraged because they don't have.
No. And they can continue to look for ways to get more technology. Donors Choose is a great way to apply for some of those grants and get some more technology. Find a way.
Okay, so let's go into our administrators leave here today. They want to start some blended learning approaches in the classroom. Kind of what's the first step for the teachers? What's the best way to get everybody to believe or to get started in this approach?
Well, Carly, before we do that, would it be all right if I just shared a few of my favorite apps with you?
Sure, I think that's fantastic.
Can I go back and then I'll come to that in just a moment?
Yep.
Because these are important. you don't have to have hundreds of apps. Although I'm going to share many with you. Let me see if you can, hopefully everybody can see my screen. I do want to let you know that I may talk about a lot of apps here, and it's overwhelming. One thing you're going to get at the end of the webinar, and I give this to all of my presentation participants, I give you my toolbox to my favorite apps and extensions and resources. And I've got a picture of that here. It's kind of small, but it's all actually hyperlinks. So you can click any of those apps and it will take you to a site to learn more about it. I'm also going to show you, I've got a little list of some of my very favorites that I'll show you right now. Explain Everything is a great app for screen recording. I suppose if I was a new teacher getting started, I might want to start at the very bottom, and I would start with something like Show Me. And in another moment, I'll show you how absolutely easy you can make that by just using a cell phone. But another one of my favorite apps for creating for students is Quiver. I have a picture of a shark that's swimming here, and I'm not quite sure if it's working, but basically students color it. And by using a free app, and you hold it above, that animal comes to life. Think how powerful that is if you're doing descriptive writing. You have a list of adjectives, or you have a list of adjectives or sensory details. I did this with a school in Oregon, and the students went wild. And by the way, whoever that was that asked about the devices in the classroom, the teacher that I worked with in Oregon, they had laptops, but they were not available. We were able to do this with 30 students. Each of us had a cell phone, and we simply had the app on the cell phone. These students were so engaged, they did not want to go out to recess. I'm sorry. I have another little picture here of Explain Everything, which is basically a glorified whiteboard. If you can use PowerPoint, you can import your slides right into that, and then you just make it come to life. It saves it for you as a video. Snagit is a free screen recording app for Chrome. You can look that one up. It's on my list. Book Creator app by RedJumper is one of my favorite apps. It's also available for desktop PCs in both Android and iPads. If you're going to do some green screen work, see, once you have more time in the Writer's Workshop, you can use some of these apps and extensions to really motivate those reluctant writers. DoInk is a great green screen app. If you're using Chromebooks or desktops to create ebooks, look into Wixie or Pixie, and those are also on my list. And finally, StoryJumper is a very simple ebook creator. These are just some ways that you can motivate. But I'm going to say again that you need to make sure that your teachers have these resources. If they have the devices, make sure they can use the devices to their fullest. Give them what they need. These are resources.
So, Joanna, I have a question here. If I could only choose one app to purchase,
oh, that's a good one.
What should it be?
Oh, hands down. I say this at every workshop. My favorite app that you can extend and use for all subject areas, and frankly, all grade levels, is Book Creator by RedJumper. And the reason I like that app, and it's on my list, so go ahead and click it. There are many YouTube tutorials on how to use it too, so don't feel like you have to be an expert. Students can do their writing, and then they can either narrate what they've written, which they love doing, and they can add pictures, they can add hyperlinks, they can do so many things. They can even create comics, which, by the way, are a great way of teaching how to use quotation marks. So RedJumper has this created, and the great thing is that then your teachers, hopefully they have access to what they need, and that you as the administrator are making sure that these things work for them, that they can export these ebooks into PDF files that they can mail to their parents, or you can mail, the school can mail to their parents, movies, or they can publish them as ebooks. And that becomes this authentic project, and they absolutely love it. And teachers will have fewer reluctant writers.
Well, I know that's something I hear about in PD all the time.
Favorite app.
How do I motivate my students?
There you go.
So I took another poll while you were talking.
Oh my goodness.
And I know. And 100% of our attendees are interested in blending the writer's workshop in their schools.
Oh my gosh, that is so exciting. Yes.
That kind of brings us back to my question that I jumped ahead a little bit earlier. How can we get the teachers excited about it as administrators? How can we overcome these obstacles? How can we kind of get the teachers to buy into this new idea that sounds a little bit tricky sometimes?
All right. Well, before I say this, now to those administrators out there, please don't think I'm giving you a huge homework task, but I kind of am. But if you are truly up for this, you need to prove it to your staff. You need to be willing to walk the walk, as they say. So let me show you what I'm talking about. And I have seen this done. My principal did it, and I'm telling you, it was quite an eye-opener for our staff, and they really bought in. I really hope everyone can see this, because some of you might say, oh no, this is more work. It can be very simple. I want you to try to walk the walk. Try blending your staff meetings. You'll know that you never have enough time for your staff meetings. Isn't that true? I bet you're all nodding your heads. Yes, there just isn't enough time. We can't get through everything. We get sidetracked. It's just like the classroom, let's face it. Well, if you try to blend your staff meeting, you are going to be demonstrating your own willingness and your own interest in actually changing the delivery system. You become a model for your staff, just as I became a model for my students. And they then my students started to create their own how-to videos for other classrooms. You see, it's contagious. If you do this, you're going to be modeling how your teachers can gain time, how they can gain knowledge, and you can take this extra time that you gain to actually demonstrate some of the technology tools yourself. How to do that? You might invite teacher leaders to demonstrate. But here's a great way for you to start. A learning management system. If you choose a learning management system for your staff, or they all, probably by consensus is the best way. We use Edmodo. A lot of schools are using Edmodo, Schoology, Moodle, Blackboard, Canvas. It's not the platform that works for me, it's what works for your school and meets your needs, right? So set up your own classroom, the principal's classroom, let's call it. Now have your staff become your students. If you take something as simple as your cell phone, a selfie stick, right? You've seen those, you can get them anywhere. Record your most basic scheduling announcements, obviously nothing confidential. Put those into your learning management system. If you don't use a learning management system, if that's going to be an issue, email them to people. Now what's great is your staff now can watch those basic announcements that might take 10 minutes of your staff meeting. They can watch them from home. They can watch them on their lunch break. They can watch them while they're at a ball game. They can do anything, but they come to your staff meeting with that out of the way, which gives you an extra, 10 to 15 minutes where you can share technology tools, have collaboration of teachers, and do some of those other really meaningful things with your staff meeting time.
Joanna, we have a question in the chat box about specific writing programs that you might recommend.
Well, all right. Let me just be real here. When I started, we were using a well-known program in my school. And we had this discourse between the lower elementary and the upper elementary teachers. And it was really getting ugly, I'm going to be honest. There were some fidelity issues, let's put it that way. Our teachers were not teaching it the same way. And it required a great deal of extra hunting for materials, looking for materials. People just didn't have time for that. We want our teachers, by the way, here, I'll just throw this in. We want our teachers working with the students. not running around looking in supply rooms, looking for old materials, going on the internet, looking for downloadables. Let's get them what they need. I happen to be the English Language Arts chairman, and I was a teacher leader in my building, and fortunately I had my administrator's support, and that means so much as a teacher leader. I had the flexibility to look for some different programs and to actually try them out in my classroom. We settled on RightSteps, and yes, I realize that this is a RightSteps thing, but you asked the question. So, okay, so why did we like it? Our staff finally had some consensus. It was something that spiraled. We knew what to expect. We had our lessons were mapped out very well for us. We had tables of contents. We had student samples. Those were handy right when we needed them. No more hunting and looking. They were there. We had everything we needed. And our teachers became more confident. The most reluctant teachers in the building finally were saying they felt more confident. This was a big plus.
And I think that kind of leads us into the next part of our webinar, where we wanted to share a little bit about your newest pursuit that you've been working on with RightSteps, actually. Can you talk a little bit about how Captivation Station, which is RightSteps' newest launch, can kind of help teachers overcome those obstacles of time, material, and knowledge that they are, kind of lacking confidence in?
I sure will, Carly, but first I better say this. I sure wish I was still in the classroom, because if I, as a teacher who was wanting to blend my learning, had this, I would have had it made in the shade. I'm telling you, I keep kicking myself, like, why didn't we do this sooner? This really would have changed my life as a Writer's Workshop teacher. No, a Writer's Workshop coach, because I'm no longer the disseminator of information. I am a coach on the side, right? All right. So anyway, let me share my screen and I'll just show you a little bit. This is a true dream come true for me. And I'll just show you a little bit. All right, so basically, Captivation Station, I have created the individual Writer's Workshop video lessons, is what they are. Very similar to what I used to create in my own classroom. However, they're a big step up from what I used to do. And those are available to students in 3rd through 5th grade. Students watch a Captivator lesson, which is the entire RightSteps unit, or I'm sorry, day, and it's the the anticipatory set, and the whole lesson is there, so that if you're a reluctant teacher and you don't feel confident, it's right there for you. Students can move when they're ready. Let's say you have a student who needs to hear it again. They can play that again and hear it again. Your other students can move ahead. They move on to practice. The practice is written for them. It tells them what to do, but it's also audio recorded, so they can be very independent and self-directed learners. If teachers don't have one-to-one devices, they can simply show these videos to the entire class and work like that. It's like giving them a writing coach right in the classroom to teach the lesson with them. The best part, I think, about the new Captivation Station, though, is that it has this digital writing and grammar platform. I had a teacher a week or two ago when I was working with some teachers. He said this was the most fantastic thing, because this would prepare his students for the testing that's coming up, where they have to be able to write like this. It also gives our students this opportunity to write to a global platform, because students can share with just themselves, with their classroom, or with a larger global audience. Of course, you as administrators and the teachers can set all the privacy permissions. I don't want to say too much, but I'm sure they can find out more. I just know that it's my dream come true. I couldn't be more proud and excited about this, and I keep seeing teachers that are trying it, and they're just saying, this has changed my life, which is very heartwarming.
So, Joanna, can you hear me and see me?
Yes.
Okay. My computer seems to have frozen, so I want to keep going, but I just wanted to make sure you could hear me. So I just wanted to share some of my favorite things about Captivation Station, just that I have heard from teachers, administrators as I've done PD.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Really, with Captivation Station, The students can watch daily standards-based lessons. We call them Captivators. They can control their own pace with the videos and their writing practice. They can complete the lessons anytime, anywhere, on any device, which is so exciting. It could be from a cell phone, a laptop, a desktop, anything. And then it even makes it easy for an absent student to catch up on missed learning. The students can read and comment on writing from their peers locally, even around the world. They get to practice that positive digital citizenship that we're always talking about now in a safe environment. They get to write for their peers, which can be super motivating for them as well. And then teachers with Captivation Station, they can show the videos whole group, small group, individually. Totally depends on their teaching style, on their comfort level, on the accessibility that they have with technology. They can read student writing online at any time. They can provide feedback, comment, collaborate with other students, other teachers. It's fantastic. And then the administrators can monitor engagement data and student writing, see teacher feedback, moderate privacy levels. They can really manage the student placement. And so we're really, really excited about this new program. And we're excited to offer this special offer to you for our administrator guests today. And I can't see your screen, so I know that the offer is that we will give you Captivation Station for free for 1 year with the purchase of an eWriteSteps subscription. And so, I could spend an hour here telling you everything that's fantastic about it, but I feel like we gave you a good overview. And if you'd like to learn more about it or you're interested in purchasing, you can email me. My email is on the screen, carly@writestepswriting.com. And Joanna, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Well, I would like to. I just want to leave that up for just a moment in case anybody needs to copy that, or you will get this in an email, so I guess I can stop sharing that. I just really like to thank you, Carly. This was a really, gosh, I learn every time I talk to people, every time I visit schools, and I hear these same things. So I don't want any of our administrators to think it's just them. This just seems to be an issue. But I thank you for this opportunity for us to talk about blending the Writers Workshop. Creating these instructional videos can be so helpful. Using the technology tools that you have to the fullest. Make sure they're working properly. And really making sure that you have a quality, standards-based writing and grammar program. Those are so important. You will be getting a list of tools and resources from me, and please reach out to me at writingwithjoanna.com.
At gmail.com.
Gmail.com. That's on my list too. I struggle with some of these things. I'm getting old. But anyway, please reach out to me, administrators. I would love to help you. If you want to get your staff workshop blended and you're like, how should I do this? And you don't want to admit it to anyone else, just send me an email and I'll help you. Thank you, Carly, so much. And
sure.
I wish everyone the best in writing luck.
Thank you so much for coming, and look for our email to come tomorrow. It will have a link to this webinar as well as some administrator materials that WriteSteps is giving to you in addition to Joanna's toolbox. So thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, everybody.
We hope this was worthwhile, and we hope to see you again very soon.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk again. Let's go for it. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.